When considering the most legendary watches of all time, many are quick to jump up to the luxury tier of watchmaking. However, that would be overlooking some of the most paramount watches ever created. And perhaps at the top of that list is the Casio G-Shock. And in this video, we will be looking at everything you should know before looking to buy one of these great watches, including its long history and significance, its different model collections and families, and some top picks from their catalog that are good choices for certain types of people, and then also why, or ultimately why not go for a Casio G-Shock. So with the holiday season here, I did want to let you guys know about some cool promos that we have going on teddyballdizer.com. So first off, we're going to be doing a free strap with any purchase over $250. So how this is going to work, if you pay over $250 on your order, you will get any strap up to $25 with your purchase for free. Just add the watch, add the strap, just get everything in there into your cart, and then use promo code STRAP250. Then you also, if you spend over $500, would have the opportunity to get a strap up to $50 for free with your purchase. Just use promo code STRAP500. Say you spend over $1,000, get any strap up to $100 free with your purchase by using promo code STRAP1000. And if you purchased over $2,000, you get any strap for free with your purchase by adding promo code STRAP2000. You just have to add. The strap also have all the other items in your cart to exceed that dollar amount, and then it will automatically be applied. So ensure that you have the promo for that designated dollar amount, as well as making sure that you have a strap in there as well. It won't just automatically pop in there. You have to actually pick out the strap, add it to your cart, and then that promo will be applied after that promo code is submitted. And this is just a temporary promo. We're only going to be doing this for about a week or so. If inventory runs out, then that will also be when we are going to end this promo. So definitely act fast before it is too late. And secondly, for any person that purchases anything from our site, from now until the end of 2022 to the end of the year, you will get invited to our private live stream where I'll be hanging out answering some questions. What I also wanted to do was have a few of my colleagues join this as well to give some of their areas of expertise and talk about some of these subjects. One will be Will Bethune. He has all our photography here at the company and is honestly a master of it. So if you want to learn a little bit from him, he'll be talking about some of the just hidden secrets that he has. And tips also will have Ben Lowry, who previously, before being a video content manager for us, was actually a commercial diver. So he'll talk about maybe just debunking some of the dive watch, just jargon and branding in the industry on what it actually takes to have a dive watch that will be suitable for diving. And also Mark Bernardo, he has all of our editorial content on the website, formerly at Watch Time, and also wrote a book called Airtime, basically going over everything you need to know about pilot watches. So he'll be sharing a little bit of that just expertise he has in that realm of pilot watches. So all of that, a lot more, if you want to partake in that, just buy something from the site. You'll get an email from us as we enter the new year, and we'll have more details on that. And I know you can buy a watch pretty much anywhere during the holiday season, but we'd love to have your business for us, how we're able to make all this content happen. We don't charge the brands to make this content. How we're able to do it is through sales on teddyballester.com, and we'd love to have your business. Also, in addition to that, let me see you in that live stream next year, guys. Back to the video. So unlike a lot of watches we cover on this channel that measure their history and significance, heritage, and history and centuries, the humble Casio G-Shock has a decidedly more abbreviated history, having been conceptualized in the early 1980s. The legend goes that now legendary Casio engineer and then head of design Kakuo Ibe suffered the heartbreak of dropping a pocket watch gifted to him by his father. Galvanizing his passionate pursuit of creating a more durable wristwatch for the masses, in 1981, EB created a set of parameters he called triple 10 resistance, meaning the new watch had to be able to withstand a fall from 10 meters of height, be water resistant to 10 atmospheres or 100 meters, and have a battery life of 10 years. The endeavor proved more challenging than imagined after many iterations of the original design. But that was until EB had a breakthrough when he noticed a child bouncing a rubber ball at a playground and reasoned that the inside of the ball was all but isolated from the shock being experienced by the more flexible outer surface. With the rubber ball as inspiration, EB's team Tough Design team implemented a novel construction where the more fragile stainless steel timekeeping module was set deep within a durable resin outer shroud specifically designed to absorb shocks before they could impact the module within a not insignificant 200 prototypes, and 2 years later the original DW5000C was released in 1983, creating a basic visual functional formula that is still the core of the G-Shock's brand identity, while the new watch was by any means an incredible technological leap forward. The G-Shock was not an instant success, though thoughtful Casio marketing showing the watch's capabilities against a series of hockey pucks led to the following among police, military, fire, and other professionals working in taxing conditions. So much surprisingly, the West Coast hip-hop and skateboard scene also quickly caught onto this watch, and the G-Shock was off to the races, balancing its police, fire, and military demographic with an ever-growing pop cultural following, with G-Shock catching on to the broader scale of consumers around the world, only being rivaled by names of Rolex when it comes to just being known. The G-Shock has now grown to be an icon of durability and affordability over the course of its 39 years on the market, with likely thousands of different variants and model families having been released over the years. Rather than resting on their laurels, G-Shock has also continued to innovate technologically, staying true to its form and in its lane, while adding functionalities including Bluetooth connectivity, tough solar charging, and radio atomic timekeeping for many of its higher-priced models. G-Shock has also experimented with stainless steel cases and bracelets, elevating what has always been a more affordable-looking visual design concept to a new market position, while also more directly challenging traditional mechanical analog watches from the likes of Seiko or Citizen, for example. And while there are truly thousands of individual G-Shock references spread among dozens of model families, more than we could ever really do in one single video. So model families and major points, I'm not going to even try, but there are certain collections that I did want to talk about a little bit more specifically and go through the different levels of intrigue and importance among the enthusiast community in particular. So to keep us organized when looking at the extremely vast G-Shock collection, we'll group references into rough price categories, starting with the most attainable G-Shocks on the market. Without a doubt, this entry-level range of 50 to 100 is where we find the most ubiquitous G-Shock models on the market, and watches responsible for what is likely the overwhelming percentage of G-Shock's total sales. These are models that you're going to find in the countertop rotating display at Walmart or Costco, and the kind of watches that you probably see on the wrist of everyone from a Home Depot dad to elite military operators and even astronauts, directly derived from the original 1983 G-Shock. The basic square case DW5600 is the most ubiquitous G-Shock on the market, with a retail price starting well under $100. This DW5600 is also a watch that has dimensions that are closer to the normal watches kind of standard I would expect from major brands, with a 42.8 millimeter wide by 48.9 millimeter central case, making it wear like a true 40 or something similar on the wrist. If you're looking for something chunkier, you can go for the DW9052. It has a lot more resin in its case and more deeply recessed crystal and dial, making it a great choice for rough use for those who are hard on their watches. Even for G-Shock standards, another popular case design in G-Shock's portfolio is the DW6900, a descendant of the 6600 released in 1994 with a claim to fame as the issue watch of the U.S. Navy SEALs and Navy divers entering training. The 6900 is another larger design that, like the DW9052, utilizes a prominent forward-facing button under the dial to activate its backlight. And finally, it's also important to mention the Baby G models. that are positioned as more unisex pieces and are great options for those with smaller wrists or for those that want something that has a bit more color and can pop, jumping up to our next price range of $100 to $500. We have the meat and potatoes segment of G-Shock's collection as it relates to the enthusiast sector in particular. While there are dozens of model families and hundreds of individual references in this range, the one model that stands out the most, and it's actually a pretty recent model, is the Casio. It's a collection that debuted in 2019 with the G8 2100 at the price point right around $100, offering an analog digital display along with the 8-sided bezel. Reminiscent of the AP Royal Oak, a bit of a stretch, but I can see it. The Casio collection, though, has already spawned numerous variants, including Bluetooth and tough solar charging enabled models, as well as full metal variants that are just above, along with the Casio. The Master G collection also starts here with the most basic G9000 and G9300 Mudman models around $100, and the GW 9400 Rangeman at $30. The Master G collection includes tool-oriented watches for specific use cases, with the Mudmen built with specifically sealed buttons for use in well mud, and the Rangeman offering a legit altimeter and barometric pressure sensor. And the elevated Mud Master and Gravity Master are a step up, priced around $350, and build the pond with the Mudman and Rangeman with the additional functionality and analog digital displays. The third pillar of the Master of G collection is the Frogman, but that watch actually lives in our next price bracket, being priced at around $750, which we'll get to here shortly. And around $200, we also have our first steel case models in this price range, including the GM 2100 Casio that pair a full steel case with a resin strap. Beyond those steel models, there is also an analog digital G-Steel collection starting at just under $400, offering a polarizing but interesting format. And the last I'll mention in this range is the GBX 100, a surfing-oriented watch that pairs the 5600 square case format with a brushed steel bezel title display, sunrise and sunset, and Bluetooth functionality. So when you're talking about G-Shock watches over $500, you're most likely dealing with either collectors of the brand or watch enthusiasts, as I'm not sure the mass market has a ton of interest in this price point, but it's still an interesting one to take a look at, and there's some great models within this price range as well. At $550, we have the first full steel variants of the 5600 family and the Casio both, which are equipped with solid bracelets for the price point. There are also elevated options from the Mudmaster G collection in this range, as well as the aforementioned Frogman that offers a depth gauge and other diving computer style functionality, as well as ISO certification. Right at $1,000, we have our first MTG models, which are another analog digital subcollection that offers an even higher level of spec and finishing compared to the even standard 500 full steel models like the Steel 5600 and the Casio models. The MTG case is a combination of steel and a resin core, and now we get to over $1,000 after a few MTG models priced over $1,000. There is somewhat of a sizable jump to the MRG G-Shock's most luxurious and featured pack collection that offers similar styling compared to the MTG, with titanium as a case and bracelet material, as opposed to steel for the G-Steel and MTG. The MRG is that collection that you need to be very serious about, maybe being a G-Shock fanatic, to even consider. With price points around $3,000 like the MTG, the MRG models are pretty out there aesthetically, but the highest level iteration of the 5600 design, known as the MRG B5000, doesn't deviate far from the core original design. And I personally think those look pretty cool, just to summarize, because it's confusing full metal variants of the 5600 or Casio family live within each of those sub-collections, with the G Steel, the MTG, and MRG families representing a separate analog digital design lineage that is tiered by specification as well as the level of finishing on the steel or titanium cases or bracelets. So I know this is a lot to take in, and this is only just scratching the surface when it comes to G-Shock. So if you're somebody that's just like, okay, I'm a certain type of consumer, I'm final suggestions and places to looking to buy my first G-Shock, where should I go? So let's just go through a few different personas and maybe some recommendations. First, you have your casual wear, or maybe you're the Home Depot dad, you're gonna get some plywood, maybe you're getting your hammer and you just have to do some, chores around the house and you want something you could just take and just not have to worry about. I'd recommend going for something like the DW9052 Good Price Case Robust, as can be really solid watch then. If so, you're somebody that has military or law enforcement as an occupation, thank you for your service. If you're one of those people, I would look at the GG 1000 185 Mudmaster. These are watches with real cred in this field, and I think will be great on the risk in these type of environments. Then you have the watch enthusiast, and for this type of individual, you don't want to spend a lot of money. You want to have a G-Shock in your collection. I would go for the Casio. The analog digital display options go for GA 2100. There's now a wide variety of different options to choose from here. You also will have those steel versions available, so it really is up to you on which one you want to go for. But I think these have just really been able to work that middle ground of not being so far in the direction of G-Shock lover, but still, of course, being appealing to those people, but also being appealing to watch enthusiasts who maybe sometimes are a little bit more snobby, which I'm not cool with. But if you are one of those people that just want something that's really kind of playing the best of both worlds and what G-Shock has to offer, probably go for one of those. If you're the hardcore G-Shock enthusiasts, all of this stuff already, you want to look at something that's a little bit more out there and you want to have something to aspire towards in this collection, I go for the MRG B5000 D1. These are the ones that I think personally look the best. From the high-end collection of G-Shock, doesn't deviate too far from the original design, also is delivering a lot of their up spec in the process. And then finally, if you're somebody that's really into the aquatic side of things, you want something that can handle a lot of different conditions. Maybe you're even going diving. Go for the Frogman GWF 1001. This will give you a lot of those additional features when it comes to diving, as well as being in an underwater environment. Also good visibility on these, and also as robust as pretty much any watch you're going to get from the brand. This would be the one that I would go for that circumstance, but I would have closed this off. We'll look at why or why not. Why G-Shock or why not? G-Shock first, looking at maybe some reasons why not. I think G-Shocks generally have maybe some polarizing design formats, especially as you get into the higher end. The digital quartz is an issue for some people. I'm not one of those people, but I know the people that are out there that might have issues with these watches. Just because of that, I think that's more of a snob mentality. But it is something to just address. It's not going to be for everybody. Another point that I'll mention about G-Shocks in general is somebody that has a smaller wrist. A lot of them are just not going to be that viable for everybody out there. Of course, G-Shock does offer plenty of watches that are going to look great in a smaller wrist, but there are many that are just simply not going to do so. And the final point I'll mention about the negative side is it's just overwhelming. As you're seeing right now with all the different collections and all the different models, it's hard to really know where to begin. And even for myself, it's hard to just unpack and know all the different references and models. They are just releasing something new time and time again. But now on the flip side, why should you go for G-Shock? Why should you own a G-Shock in your collection? I personally think almost everybody should own a G-Shock if you can get past the looks, even if they're not really for you. They're not that much money, so I think they're just worth having. They're one of the watches that, from a durability standpoint, they are the fixture in the world of watchmaking. I threw these things out of a freaking helicopter. I personally didn't do it. Ben did it, what I mentioned earlier, so big props to Ben for doing it. But we were able to throw these things 40 meters out of a helicopter, and they were surviving. And I believe that if we did a different style of watch, say like a Casio Oak, where the screen didn't crack, I think the screen was the main reason why these were failing. They probably could have went way, way higher, so they are just as durable as can be. Also, these utilitarian looks, they have this tactical feel that simply put is hard to match, and really no one's been able to replicate in the same way I mentioned the negative side of having so much to just download and understand. But on the flip side, they pretty much have a G-Shock for everybody. If you want a G-Shock, most likely you can find something that's going to appeal to you. These are some of the most ubiquitous watches of all time. The history is also cool with these, in addition the engineering behind these is really cool. I love the fact, and just hearing the story about EB and how he was able to come up with this concept, the many just trial and errors of making this watch come to life, and why there was a genesis for even trying to pursue this idea by Evie when he was designing these watches. These are engineering marvels in many ways, and even 40 years later, they still do the job the same way they did, if not better than they did 40 years ago. But for the final point, why I think G-Shock is great and why everybody probably should own at least one or at least give it a shot is the fact that I think everybody collectively in the watch community and anybody has any general interest in watches can come together and say these are pretty cool, whether you're somebody with Patek Philippe in your collection and you have their perpetual calendars and all of this, or you're somebody that has like no money to spare but just want a nice watch. I think everybody can come together and say, that's a sweet watch. G-Shocks are pretty much snob-proof in a way. They're just this collective understanding for everybody that knows G-Shock and says, yeah, they make a great watch, they have their own lane, there's nothing that can touch them, and that is so unique. If you're looking at different segments of the market, what makes a product amazing is when it's able to not have any true competitor. And for the G-Shock, it's been doing this for 40 years and will continue to do. So there really is no alternative to the G-Shock if you want one. And quite frankly, I think you should want one because they're badass. But all right, guys, that is my video taking a look and better understanding the Casio G-Shock, a little bit of its history. Also some of the collections as you're maybe going to look to buy. I know how overwhelming it is even for myself. I still just sometimes get very confused with some of the different models. It's a lot to download and understand. If this video was helpful for you, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe, and hit the bell icon. Really would appreciate that as well. Also, definitely check out those promos on teddybaldestar.com, or also an authorized dealer of G-Shock, so maybe a great stocking stuffer for the holiday season as well. teddybaldestar.com is an authorized dealer of 30 brands, quick and fast fulfillment, dedicated customer support, and a full factor warranty for all the products that we offer. And we don't take money from the brands and produce any of this content. How we're able to support this content. The team is through selling watches on our site, so it's a great way to support the content as well. But guys, thank you again so much for watching. Be well, and I will see you all very soon.